I'm live from Mississippi State University for Children's Advocacy Centers of Mississippi on this
Friday, y'all.
We have made it indeed again. Special thanks to Sweet Peppers Deli for providing lunch today. They just remodeled their Starkville location, so be sure to stop by if you are in the area and donate. To donate, text GIVE to 601-476-1222. Give to 601-476-1222. We're pleased to welcome Nancy Hungerford, a board member with Children's Advocacy Centers of Mississippi. Nancy, thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon.
We've certainly enjoyed visiting with all the good folks associated with the organization. Tell us how you got involved with Children's Advocacy Centers.
I am a Mississippian by choice, not by birth, but I ended up in, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Moved to Natchez in the early 1980s to become the director of an old Christian children's home called Natchez Children's Home. Oldest in the state, started in 1816, and we were a residential facility for children. So for 40 years, I have worked with children who were removed from their homes, usually by the Department of Human Services, and came to us in lots of states of disarray and anxiety and a lot of messes to clean up.
Yeah. Good way to put it.
It is. We did that work for many, many years, and later, about 10 years ago, decided to add a Children's Advocacy Center to our array of services. And that is how I have come to know CACs. I have known children who needed the services of CACs for, 2 generations. Just didn't have the access to them. Mm-hmm. So we started one in Natchez. There are now 12 in the state of Mississippi, and we're trying to grow. Was asked after we started our CAC to come on board for the CACM, and have counted that a great professional and personal joy in meeting so many of the folks you've talked to, board members as well as professionals in the field who are out there to try to mitigate what goes on in families and children.
So, Nancy, how does the organization receive funding? I know we've shouted out the text line to give to the organization, the phone number there. How do they get their money?
Well, that's probably not going to be my best answer. We get money from the Victims of Crime Act, which is money that is
so it's from grant money. Yeah.
We get grant money. We do lots of fundraisers. We have some regular donors, and we're always looking for additional ones. We do lots of events and special things.
So combination private and public money.
Yeah. As I used to tell my mother, if it ain't illegal and too immoral, we're going to do it to raise a dollar.
Gotcha. To raise some money
for these children.
How long has the organization been in existence?
The CAC movement began in the early 1980s, and I think Carla has been with us since around 2000. So
Carla, the executive director we talked to earlier,
you did, and who holds the information and so much of the energy that drives this wonderful organization. I think your last guest was talking about a template.
Yeah.
Use the term template.
Yep.
I really think that is what continues to draw me to the work of Children's Advocacy Centers of Mississippi, and particularly this CAST program that we're talking about today. We do get painted often in Mississippi with the worst and the lowest and the least and the whatever, but we are number one in the nation in the work that we have done with developing this CAST program. It started off with lots of separate people coming together, realizing that, more is better than one, and then taking that group and applying the CAST template to it so that there's uniformity, so that there is communication, so that when one little child gets an interview and services in North Mississippi, but another child gets the same services in South Mississippi, it's exactly the same.
Sure. Kind of a McDonald's approach.
I think that's true. You know what you're going to get.
It's been very successful for them. Anywhere you go in the world, consistent.
We need that many. We need that many CACs.
Yes. Sadly.
Yes, sadly. We'd all like to work ourselves out of a job, but I've been in it for 40 years, and so I don't see that happening. But that template has proven to be so effective, and we have other states now looking at us and wanting to know, how are you doing that in Mississippi?
Yeah.
That's a Mississippi model that we want to know about.
Because it's a nationwide problem. This isn't unique to Mississippi.
Absolutely not. We just happen to be several steps ahead of the hounds in trying to work with it. So I'm proud of that work. I think the one thing I want to just tell you about, because it also was referenced, your last guest was talking about a virtual classroom that he was working out of Colin.
Right, Keith Stovall from Colin.
That is right. At the center offices, CACM offices in Jackson, we have just completed what I call our mock community. And in the office space there on Lakeland Drive, we have developed rooms, probably 6 or 7 different little rooms, each of them set up to look like a motel room, a classroom, a doctor's office, an apartment with a kitchen, a courtroom, a classroom. All of those can be toured. People can come and look at those. That is where the training goes on for this experiential learning. So effective.
So these would be all the venues, didn't mean to interrupt, but these would be all the venues that the child is going to be found during that part of their life.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And it is powerful to walk in and look at one of those rooms, the one in the kitchen that has the kitchen in the living room area. You know, it's got a gun sitting over on the TV stand. It's got pot sitting by the kitchen counter. The actors that we hire to simulate so that all of these students that we're trying to reach can literally sit and watch this thing unfold, participate in it. You know, we can stop it and say, "Whoop, wait, that didn't work. We need to go back. That was not the best response." So learning by doing.
I think the takeaway here is this isn't something you can just learn out of a book. You can't sit in a classroom at a desk and learn out of a book.
Nope.
Through a lecture.
And I taught school for a few years and never had a great education, never had the first reference to dealing with an abused child. And I know I had a classroom that had them, but it was just not a conversation.
Well, that's a good point, Nancy. Do you feel like that we're more apt to discuss these very thorny, sensitive issues today than maybe we were historically, and perhaps that was the reason we didn't talk about it then. We just wanted to kind of keep it quiet.
Well, I think there's still a lot of that.
Okay.
I'm a great storyteller, and I sometimes tell stories that are true. My mother says, if you write a book, you're going to have to put it under fiction because nobody's going to believe your truth.
Yeah.
But it does exist. We are perhaps in a situation where we can talk more about it a bit more freely, and praise God, we've got resources now, like our Children's Advocacy Centers. That's a huge, it's a one-stop shop because the child comes in and does an interview, and then there is victim advocacy for the family, there's counseling, there's court preparation. You know, you just sort of encircle them and make them take that family and just help them to get through what is, on the best day, a hideous process.
Yeah. Received a text on the C-Spire text line I wanted to pass along here. It says, great family the Hungerfords are, and they have done a wonderful job for years in Natchez. I want to pass that on to you.
Well, thank you so much.
Somebody notices. That's great.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I do.
So do you see this organization expanding in terms of the number of centers, staff, et cetera, all the above?
I do. We need more centers. We want to make them as accessible to children. We don't want them driving halfway across the state to get an interview.
Yeah.
If they need those services, they need them to be accessible and close at hand. We need more people, and this CAST program is going to train lots of those in all of the different disciplines to respond to these little people.
Well, your positive energy and your enthusiasm about this incredibly difficult topic is noticeable, and I just want to let you know that. Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much for your time.
You
Come
bet.
see us in Natchez.
You bet. Folks, we're stepping aside for a break right here. It is time